Hello, my name is Natalie Domingue, and I'm the Financial Literacy Program Coordinator at Atwater Library and Computer Center. Today I'm joined with Michel Gariépy from Autorité des Marchés Financiers, and he's here to do a presentation based on a comprehensive list that the AMF has put up as a guideline. It serves as a guideline for helpful tips that anyone can use to cut down expenses and save money during times of crisis. So without further ado, I will go ahead and hand the floor over to Michel. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks to the Atwater Library for the invitation. So as Natalie told you, my name is Michel Gariépy, although she pronounces it the Cajun way, which is even better than the way I pronounce it. So there you have it. So today's topics, I'll be briefly talking about what the AMF is, for those of you that have not encountered us so far, and 7 ways or tips to minimize your financial losses in these tough times. Some of those tips you can use all the time. So some of the tips, other tips are maybe a little more specific to the crisis situation like the current COVID we are experiencing now. So the Autorité des Marchés Financiers, or the AMF, is the body that regulates the sale and distributions of financial products and services in the province of Quebec, pretty much everything linked to finance. And Quebec, except for the banks are regulated federally. We do not only regulate in financial services and markets, we also have a role to assist consumers and investors of financial products and services. We have a information center where you'll have the phone number at the end where people can assist you in English or in French during normal regular working hours. And part of that assistance mandate, part of it is financial education. I'm personally part of the financial education team. We develop materials, we do conferences live and more now, for obvious reasons, through the internet. So I'm part of that team, and some of you may have seen me. I did many live conferences at the Atwater Library, and can't wait for the end of this situation to go back in the library and have direct contact with you, all you fine people that use the Atwater Library for different purposes. It's a good place to go. So 7 ways to minimize financial losses during a crisis. Number 1, first tip would be to take advantage of government programs. There is the one that's most well known is the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. You may have access to $2,000 every 2 weeks for around 24 weeks. If ever, because of the current crisis, you've lost your job, some of your working hours have been significantly cut, you may have access to those emergency funds from the Canadian government. You can Google it, or you can click on the link that is provided here. But the easiest way would be to Google it directly on your computer, and there'll be a questionnaire on there to help the government identify which programs can apply for you. Because if you're a self-employed, if you have your own company, there are different things that can be available to you through the government. So again, go visit the website. The second tip would be to draw up a balance sheet and review your budget. That again, you can argue that you should be doing that not only in a crisis situation, but all the time. A balance sheet is a picture of your current assets and liability, and a budget would draw a situation, it would be simply putting all of your revenues and all of your expenses on a spreadsheet, be it a balance sheet or your budget. I like to do it personally on an Excel spreadsheet. Just add in the numbers, and it'll give you a clear picture of your financial situation. A balance sheet, again, is a statement of your, it's not like a picture, is a statement of your current asset and liabilities. And it could be used to help you identify your current sources of savings and credit. For instance, Natalie, I know you owe me a poutine. If you recall, the poutine is a liability for you because, in the near future, you'll need to reimburse, to take me out and offer me that poutine. But for me, it's a liability because I have a poutine sitting there somewhere. So you've got assets, you've got liabilities, and you can differentiate the two, and that'll give you a picture of your current financial situation. Now, if you're looking at for some reason, you may currently need some cash, you need some money because you've lost your job, or you've got a significant decrease of your revenues. So there are some things you may be tempted to cash in. Some of you probably have one of the main assets that you would be your RRSPs. So, but before cashing in your RRSPs, if you're still away from retirement, check if you have other assets that you can cash in, such as your TFSAs. Because if you cash in your RRSPs, it'll increase it'll probably generate a tax bill, and it'll increase also your taxable income. And sometimes by increasing your taxable income, it may cut off some of the government benefits that you'll be allowed to have in normal circumstances. So again, I always recommend to people to, not that, if they can, avoid at all costs cashing in your RRSPs if you're not retiring. Other investments that you may have in your assets are, you may have some investments. For instance, if you have term deposits, be careful. Choose the ones that you can cash in without being penalized. Some of these term deposits, if you cash them in before a certain time, you may be penalized. You may not have it may cut off some of the returns you were expecting. So, carefully choose what investment you're cashing in. Same thing if you have some mutual funds in your assets. Some of the mutual funds, if you cash them in before a certain amount of time, minimal amount of time, it can cost you it could cost you some fees, withdrawal fees. So again, look at your assets, the assets you own. If you need to cash something in, be very careful. Try not to cash in your RRSPs, and if you're going to cash in investments, cash-ins first, the ones that you can cash in without being penalized in any way. A budget involves comparing your income with your expenses. So you would put on top all your revenues, be an interest, reviews, tips if you work in a place where you have tips, allowances if you're a young one and your parents give you allowances. So that would be all of your, that would go on top of your budget for your revenues, and everything you must pay goes on the bottom part. So you subtract that. That'll be what it costs you for living. For instance, rent, mortgage payments, cell phone, cable, any subscription to the gym, things like that, things you need to pay. That will go on the bottom part of your budget. So you add your revenues, you add all your expenses, and the difference will give you, if you're in the red or if in the green. Hopefully you're in the green. If you fear a budget, you probably need to budget. That's a thing we found out. Again, a budget helps you gain control. You can probably cut down on some of the expenses. So in all times, but especially in tough times, Take the time to do your budget. Again, there are some budget sheets on the AMF website, but you can also do your budget using, like I do, a Excel spreadsheet. Again, a budget involves comparing your income with your expenses. If you fear it, it's probably because you need to make one. The advantages of doing a budget, it'll let you know where you're going. It gives you some freedom in the future to help you take care of business, and it allows you to in the future reach some of the goals that you can quantify and budget for. Okay. So always important to do a budget. Again, some budgets are available on our website. Tip number 3, linked to the budget, would be to reduce your expenses. And the first thing you can think about when you want to reduce your expenses is to distinguish between the expenses that are part of your needs and part of your wants. Needs are expenses that are unavoidable. For instance, you have to live somewhere. You have to pay your rent. You have to pay your mortgage. It's pretty tough to get away from that on the short term. You may move somewhere where it's less expensive, but you may be caught with a lease. So that's not always doable on the short term. You certainly need to buy some food. That is also a type of expense that you need to put in the need. The wants are expenses that could be cut off if necessary. Do you need all that? Do you need all those TV channels on your cable subscription? Do you need the fancy restaurants, although some of them are currently closed? So again, look at your expenses, check what are the needs, check what are the wants, and cut down first on some of those wants to equilibrate, to balance your budget. Tip number 4, take advantage of payment flexibilities. You probably saw that in the media. Some of financial institutions, insurers, businesses, cities have allowed for extra flexibilities in the COVID crisis. Check with your service providers, okay, if you can delay some of those payments. I know some of the credit card companies have allowed that. You've had some extra times to fill in your federal and provincial taxes. So again, check. It will not erase the debt. You'll still need to make those payments, but there's maybe a way to delay the payment if you're stuck. You're a bit strapped for cash right now. But of course, it will not erase them. It will put the payments later. So, you have to take that into consideration. Also, you'll need to pay at some point. So don't overload your future. Tip number 5, for all you drivers out there, you may be able to get a discount on your auto insurance if you significantly decrease the number of kilometers you're driving. For instance, if you used in the past your car for work purposes and now you're not, you may want to tell that to your insurer and get some sort of a discount on your upcoming premiums. Again, if you're driving less, maybe worth a try to see if you can't get a discount on your car insurance premiums. Number 6, use credit properly. It's sometimes very hard to go through life without using a credit card, but it's a double-edged sword. So be very careful the way you use credit. If you have many credit cards, which I don't recommend, but if you have a few of them, use the one with the lowest interest rate. That's a trick I can give you. But of course, using credit now will mean that you'll probably have less available for any unforeseen emergencies. We still don't know if a second wave of this COVID will be coming through in next fall, but you may want to plan for that one. If ever you're currently strapped, you're having some big debt problems, you don't know, what to do, of course you can seek advice and help from family and friends. Another trick would be to contact your creditors. Don't simply start missing payments and not returning calls and things like that. If you see that you're really strapped, contact your creditors. Try to arrive at some sort of agreement. Look again at your needs, your wants, at your lifestyle. There are some places where you may be able to cut down on some of the spending. And you could also call l'ASEF. SSS, there's a link there. You can call them. The SF is a sort of a communities organization for consumers. They do offer help on how to make wise financial choices, how to make your budget, how to make your balance sheet. You've got a phone number there on the slide. That's the one for Montreal's southwest community, serves western part of Montreal, including Westmount. They have bilingual staff. So if you're strapped, they may be able to offer you help, offer you advice. I know sometimes they do offer conferences at a very marginal cost. So I would certainly give them a call. They have experience dealing with current people strapped for cash and living through hard times like we're going through right now. So I would definitively give them a call if you have any current problems. Tip number 7, and I did a presentation solely on fraud for the Atwater library. It's currently, if I remember, on the Atwater library YouTube channel. So for more details, take a look. You've got an example of a current fraud right now where they offer some sort of relief and they put on the Prime Minister's name on that. You would click on that link. It would take you on a website. They would ask you for personal information, but of course it's a fake website. And once you give information on your personal information to a scammer, they can after that take you to the cleaners. You never know what they can do with that personal information, so be very, very careful. Some of the signs that you're being scammed, you're being promised high returns with no risk, easy money from people you don't know. You're asked to make a quick decision, to keep it confidential. They say to have some privileged information that can make you rich in the near future. And they also ask you to recruit your friends, and they may want to give you a commission in return. But of course, all of that is a scam, so stay away. If you want more information, we did have a campaign on TV about those types of about scams. So click on the link provided below. It'll take you to that short, entertaining video. And we do have a brochure. Our web address will arrive in one of the next slides. So we do have a brochure that gives you details on some of the most popular frauds and easy steps to avoid fraud. Again, as a wrap-up, check government programs and payment flexibilities, check your balance sheet, do your budget to see how your money comes in, but also how it moves out. Use credit like a sharp tool. Be very careful how you use it, and when it's too good to be true, it's usually a scam, so stay away. The AMF, we're still open. We're working from home, but still in touch. If you have some questions, you can reach Natalie or myself. I've provided you with my email address. We've got a Facebook page with nice and important information, Twitter, where we usually feed with interesting information. You've got a phone number if you want to reach our information center, and our website.
Thank you, Michel. We certainly appreciate you coming on today and going through all of the steps that AMF has put up. AMF is a very good resource, and we're going to go ahead and put those links underneath this video for the budget sheets you were mentioning and the brochures on financial fraud. And of course, if you want more details about financial fraud, we do have a second video that Michelle did a couple of months ago exactly on that subject. So if you do have any other questions, you can call us back. The number you see on the screen, the numbers that Michelle has provided as well, or you can email me directly at the library, and I will certainly do my best to make sure that we point you in the right direction as you search for your answers on finance. Thanks again, Michelle. I will make sure that I put the poutine on my budget sheet. And and we hope that you all have a good afternoon. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Stay in touch. And thanks once again to the Government of Canada.